Chapter 71. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 71. The thing I want to do the most is to see you. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. Yin Qianchen. Liang Yunqing's heart skipped a beat. Ever since Yin Qianchen suddenly came to visit her that day, the connection between the two of them had almost been severed. Every time, she would call Hao Cheng and try to beat around the bush, but all she got was a busy reply from her master. It was not appropriate for her to ask Hao Cheng as the master. What exactly was that person busy with? She had tried to send a few messages looking at Liang Yunqing's face that was trying hard to hide, but still inadvertently revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Chris could only sigh softly and silently turn around to leave. He did not need to look to know who the caller was. Hello. Liang Yunqing tried to sound calm. Happy birthday. Yin Qianchen's pleasant voice came from the other end of the phone. He remembered his own birthday too. No. It must be. Hao Cheng reminded you, right? If it weren't for him, you wouldn't have thought of this. Liang Yunqing exposed him mercilessly and let out a crisp laugh. There will be gifts later. Remember to accept them. When will you return to China? Yin Qianchen was such a boring person. Liang Yunqing did not mind. She could not expect him to give her any surprises. The gifts were most likely given by Hao Cheng. Liang Yunqing paused for a moment and replied, didn't we agree before? In another 2 months, I will be studying here for 10 whole months. Professor Hans will help me take the exam alone. Yin Qianchen suddenly stopped talking. Liang Yunqing was a little nervous. Her hands that were holding the phone were slightly sweaty. Yes, she lied. She was very, very hard working. She spent more than half a year studying biology and philosophy. Even Professor Hans was impressed by this little girl's perseverance. It was shocking and terrifying. Yes, it was a wonderful specialty. Initially, Liang Yunqing thought that Yin Qianchen would recommend her to study business administration, finance, and other majors. She had already imagined 800 rounds of good business battles, but who knew that he would tell her? It was good to study business administration well. She would be a manager and a part-time worker for the rest of her life. The true leader should be good at using people and understand the fundamentals of human nature. Then why didn't she study psychology? She asked that back then. Psychology was all a lie. Yin Qianchen's answer really didn't give her any face at all. When the time comes, I can call Hao Cheng to pick you up. Yin Qianchen finally answered Liang Yunqing's words and interrupted her mental journey. Enve, she was slightly relieved. Fortunately, he didn't suspect anything. The moment she boarded the flight back to China, Liang Yunqing was still in high spirits. She was finally going home. Home. Was this word suitable for her? Although the house wasn't hers, there was boredom, Hao Cheng, and the few people, things that she still cared about. It could be called home for now. Miss Yunqing. This time, even Hao Cheng felt frightened. He did not receive any news that Liang Yunqing was going back to the country. Is Yin Qianchen at home? Liang Yunqing said with a smile, why? Don't you welcome me? Yes, welcome. Of course, I welcome you a million times. If you're bored, put him in the yard. Let the maid bring him back later. Hao Cheng welcomed Liang Yunqing into the house and took the luggage from her hands. If you're bored, bring him back later. I'm asking you, is Yin Qianchen at home? Liang Yunqing reached out and stopped Hao Cheng, who was about to turn around. Sir is at home. Hao Cheng paused, but what? The more Hao Cheng stuttered, the more Liang Yunqing wanted to get to the bottom of it. Sir. He's busy receiving guests. Hao Cheng smiled. Receiving guests. Yin Qianchen rarely brought outsiders in here, at least. She had not seen anyone else since she moved in here. What kind of big shot was he this time, Anne? Hao Qing did not seem to be convenient to tell her. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 72. It doesn't mean that I will love her. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. Are you surprised to see me back? Liang Yunqing smiled gently at Hao Qing. Hao Qing looked at Liang Yunqing in front of him and smiled with relief. Yin Qianqian had met her at the beginning and brought her home. It was then that Hao Qing met Liang Yunqing. It could be said that he met Liang Yunqing not much later than Yin Qianqian did. It was unknown whether it was because Liang Yunqing was a sick girl when they first met. At that time, Liang Yunqing looked very fragile, like a child who had been severely injured. Although her body was not seriously injured, Hao Qing, who had observed her carefully, knew that it was her heart that was hurt. In just a year, Liang Yunqing had grown a little taller, and her arms and legs gradually became longer. Because she lived abroad, European and American people were relatively tall. Liang Yunqing also began to try wearing high heels. Her entire body had become more upright and elegant. Her face was covered with delicate light makeup, but she still maintained her original innocent and cute appearance. Every frown and smile was even more attractive. She was like a beautiful butterfly that had been reborn from a cocoon. It was just that the wings of this little butterfly were still soft and immature. Everyone would have feelings when they interacted with each other, and Hao Qing was naturally the same. Moreover, Yin Qianqian had also undergone some subtle changes due to Liang Yunqing's arrival. Hao Qing naturally hoped to see Yin Qianqian live a more popular life. After parting for some time, how could Hao Qing not be concerned about this girl? Of course, Miss Yunqing. I'm very happy to see you back, and I'm sure Sir is the same. No, he's even happier to see you than I am. Hao Qing tried his best to promote his master. Oh, in other words, Yin Qianqian will also be surprised, right? Liang Yunqing rolled her eyes and raised her eyebrows at Hao Qing. Her words were exactly what she wanted to say. In that case, I'll go up to him directly and give him a surprise. Miss Yunqing. Sir is talking to Miss Sai Na. Hao Qing hurriedly stopped Liang Yunqing as he watched her quickly walk upstairs. Sai Na. Wasn't she in Germany? Liang Yunqing's expression did not change, but she stopped walking. She thought for a moment, turned around and said to Hao Qing, then it doesn't matter. When I went to Germany for the first time, I had dealings with Saina. Although it was not a pleasant memory. Hao Qing could not stop her, so he could only watch Liang Yunqing leave. He thought to himself, Master, this is the best I can do for you. The door of the study was not closed. It was unknown whether it was because the matter the two were talking about was not important, or because Yin Qianqian was too assured of his servants. Chen, how long do you want to let Sophia down? It's time to stop playing around. Sai Na, have you stayed in Germany for too long? You've forgotten the meaning of the Chinese words, let her down. You know that Sophia likes you so much. Why did you do such a thing? Have you lost your mind and forgotten who I am? Or is it the first day you met me, Yin Qianqian? What is love? I've never known it. You don't know love. Then, what about that little girl? Your fiancé. Who came out of nowhere. Even though Liang Yunqing could not see the situation in the room, she could still imagine Sai Na's mocking face. Fiancé. Is just a title. It just happened to fall on Liang Yunqing. She can be anyone. A title doesn't mean that I will love her. Liang Yunqing stood by the door and listened to Yin Qianqian's calm voice, like a pool of still water. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 73. He's just a piece of ice without any feelings. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. Liang Yunqing did not intend to eavesdrop on their conversation, but she could not move her feet away from the door. It was as if she had taken root and was trying her best not to move, so she gave up. Originally, it was not a big deal. There was no harm in her eavesdropping, right? You don't love her. Sai Na snorted. Then go and love Sophia. Who saved you back in South Africa? If it weren't for Sophia's sudden kindness, you would probably only be a skeleton now. So. I can give Sophia anything she wants, except for the love you mentioned. Yin Qianshan's voice was still calm, unaffected by any of Saina's emotions. It's all because of that little girl. Don't think I don't know what you did for her. I don't need others to interfere with how I treat people. Are you here to denounce me? Also, I want to tell you that I can still stand here unharmed after investigating me, which proves that I'm still thinking of our past friendship. Sophia can tolerate me, but I can't. You even brought that little girl to meet Sophia. Oh my God, if it were me, I would have squashed her to death long ago, like squashing an ant. Yes. I did investigate the matter between you two. So what? I have such a hot temper. If you don't like it, why don't you get someone to kill me? If you can't kill me, I'll go kill that little girl. Sai Na. You should understand what it means to stop when you're done. Don't talk to me about feelings anymore. I will never love anyone in my life. Then, why do you still want to help Liang Yunsheng? When did you, Yin Qianshan, ever give so much for others? At least, you wouldn't do something like this without any return. Just looking at her pitiful, it's like saving a stray cat by the roadside. She's so grateful that she won't even take a bite of bread from your leftovers. She's not even a little pet. She's so obedient and easy to tease. Liang Yunsheng was stunned. She felt her heart was in a mess, as if a huge rock was pressing on her chest. She couldn't breathe, and the slightest movement would hurt her limbs. Like an ignorant little wild cat, Yin Qianshan's words were not wrong. In fact, from the beginning, Liang Yunsheng had also had this realization. Yin Qianshan helping her might have been a sudden interest. As for the identity of his fiancée, Liang Yunsheng was also 100% sure that the Liang family was still useful to Yin Qianshan. Too good a day could easily make people get carried away, and then they would be knocked awake by the sudden peeling of the truth. Yin Qianshan was a piece of ice that had no feelings. It was not him who was wrong, but her. Liang Yunsheng slowly turned around and walked down the stairs without making any sound. Miss Yunsheng. Hao Qing hurried to her side and found that she did not look well. Are you tired? Do you want to rest first? Liang Yunsheng seemed to have suddenly come back to her senses and smiled brightly at Hao Qing. I still think. I'll see them after they finish talking. Liang Yunsheng walked to the door. Miss Yunsheng. Hao Qing followed her curiously. Are you going out? I'll arrange a driver to send you. She did not know. She just wanted to leave for a while and not see Yin Qianshan. No need. I'm jet-lagged. Yin Qianshan might still be busy. I'll go out alone for a walk first. After saying that, Liang Yunsheng fled, leaving Hao Qing with a confused look on his face. The Yin residence was in a secluded area in the suburbs. Usually, they would take a bus back and forth, so they did not think it was too far. They could not find a taxi on foot, and it would take them at least 3 hours to walk to the subway station. Suddenly, a long car horn sounded behind them. Liang Yunsheng turned around and saw a flashy red Lamborghini scurrying to her side. Chapter 74. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 74. Their relationship. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. Liang Yun Sheng. The person on the Lamborghini shouted excitedly. His voice was a little hoarse. It was a mixture of familiarity and strangeness. Liang Yunsheng, Liang Yunsheng, Liang Yunsheng. It's really you. He spoke quickly, revealing his excitement. Liang Yunsheng frowned slightly and looked at the car warily. Could it be that someone was going to kidnap her again? Please, she had just returned to the country. Who was so well informed, or was it Yin Qianqian again? Who had offended some strange person? You don't recognize me. It can't be. With a Mohican hairstyle and a ruffian smile on his face, he did not open the car door. Instead, he opened the roof and jumped out of the car. The youth took off the brown sunglasses on his face and walked straight to Liang Yunsheng. Hello. You. USOIUE. Liang Yunsheng called out the name of that person in surprise. It had been almost a year since they last met. During that time, other than that strange phone call, the two of them had not contacted each other. Yu Siyue seemed to have taken a super hormone and suddenly became very tall. He had the skeleton of an adult, but he still had the thinness of a teenager. His face had become more profound than before, but he was still very handsome. He was a bright and beautiful teenager. It's me. I knew you wouldn't forget me. Yu Siyue finally smiled, and his heart felt much sweeter. It was really great that Liang Yunsheng had not forgotten him. Liang Yunsheng only realized after hearing his words that it was not because his voice was too unfamiliar, but because he had entered the special voice-changing phase of a teenager. His originally bright voice had become dull and hoarse, and was gradually approaching maturity. What a coincidence. I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you doing? You're a little different from before. It was not only Liang Yunsheng who noticed the change in Yu Siyue. Yu Siyue also saw the current Liang Yunsheng. From head to toe, he exuded a different aura from the past. Why don't we find a place to sit down and chat? Liang Yunsheng suggested. Standing by the roadside in the wilderness, he really did not have the mood to continue chatting like this. After getting into the car, Yu Siyue noticed something strange. Why are you standing alone on the road? Although he did not know the exact location of Yin Qianqian's home, Yu Siyue knew that this was a villa area. Did Yin Qianqian leave you alone on the road? Not knowing what kind of melodramatic story Yu Siyue had imagined, Liang Yunsheng's phone vibrated in her pocket. As expected, she glanced at the phone screen and saw that it was Yin Qianqian. She did not hang up pretentiously. She had just walked out and really just wanted to take a break to calm herself down. She was not blaming Yin Qianqian's words. Perhaps she should be glad that she had eavesdropped on those words, so that she could re-examine her relationship with Yin Qianqian. Are you back in the country? Even though it was just a question, Yin Qianqian's voice was still calm, without the slightest ripple. What kind of thing would make this person have emotions? Yes, Liang Yunsheng replied, not knowing what to say next. Where are you? Stand there and don't move. I'll go pick you up, Yin Qianqian said in a hushed voice. Liang Yunsheng's eyes rolled around and glanced at Yu Siyue. I met a friend and was preparing to go out for dinner. You don't have to worry about me for now. Friend. Yin Qianqian's voice curved into a question. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 75. Wait for me to become a good man. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. Yes, he's a good friend, the kind that you can rest assured of, so you don't have to worry about him anymore. After dinner, I'll call Hao Cheng and ask the driver to pick me up. Yin Qianqian was silent on the other end of the phone for a moment, then hung up the phone right away. I'm not so afraid of Yin Qianqian now. It doesn't matter even if you give me up. Yu Siyue patted his chest. Don't treat me like a child all the time. I've grown up too. Yes, yes, yes. You're a man. Liang Yunsheng couldn't help but laugh. Don't laugh. Yu Siyue, who was trying to pretend to be mature and serious, lost his composure when Liang Yunsheng laughed. He quickly directed the fire back to Liang Yunsheng. I say, you didn't answer my question just now. Why are you standing alone on the road? Nothing. I just wanted to come out to relax. Liang Yunsheng tried hard to act as if nothing had happened. I can see that you have a sad look on your face. Yu Siyue didn't know if he could really see it or if he was lying, but he continued. Yin Qianqian must have let you down. I told you that you would be at a disadvantage if you liked him. That person. How could he have feelings? Liang Yunqing acted as if nothing had happened, but her heart sank. That person did not use feelings. This was something everyone knew. She still smiled and said half-jokingly, "Don't you remember? At your birthday party, you told me that there was a chance for me to pursue him." Bah bah bah. That was because I did not understand the situation at that time. Children speak without fear. Now I finally know how vicious Yin Qianqian is. Yu Xiyue naturally did not finish his words. He stepped on the brake and arrived at his destination. Liang Yunqing had yet to open the door when Yu Xiyue pressed it down. "You have to wait for me." Yu Xiyue looked into Liang Yunqing's eyes seriously. At this moment, no one would think that he was joking. "I will become a better and better man than Yin Qianqian. I will make you willingly give up on him. Turn to my embrace. I know, do your best." Liang Yunqing smiled and patted Yu Xiyue's shoulder. Usiyue was helpless to be ignored. Fortunately, Liang Yunqing's empty stomach eased the awkward atmosphere. An airplane meal was really torture for Liang Yunqing. Yu Xiyue brought Liang Yunqing to a quiet tea restaurant. The soundproofing of the private room was very good. The key was that it was under the name of young Master Yu. He brought Liang Yunqing here. It was more or less a small show. Off. The two of them chatted and laughed in the tea restaurant. They did not touch on the taboo topics between them. The atmosphere was very harmonious. Liang Yunqing had always had a good impression of Yu Xiyue as her closest friend. She spoke more openly. After having a good meal, Liang Yunqing and Yu Xiyue were almost done talking about the things they had not seen in a year and were ready to leave. After opening the door of the private room, Yu Xiyue went out first. Liang Yunqing followed closely behind him, but she saw a group of youths around the same age as Yu Xiyue. They seemed to have come with ill intentions. They were not small-time hooligans. Liang Yunqing was now a person with some discerning eyes. At a glance, those youths were all well-dressed. They did not look very good, but at least they were exquisitely dressed. It was just that their aura was really strange. They did not look like children from good families at all. Yu Xiyue wanted to take Liang Yunqing around them, but he was blocked by a few people who came forward. "Yo, Xiyue, where are you going? Your brothers are supporting your tea restaurant. There's no reason for you not to invite them. TSK, look, Xiyue has become successful recently. She has also found a little girlfriend. She looks pretty good." Chapter 76. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 76. People that no one can touch. Author. Bitter Days. Machine translation. A bunch of rich kids. Yu Xiyue obviously didn't want to pay attention to these people. Hearing his words, Liang Yunqing couldn't help but laugh secretly, as if he himself was a child of an ordinary family. However, knowing that they were just a bunch of mischievous second-generation rich kids, Liang Yunqing didn't feel any pressure. They weren't some gangsters who were difficult to deal with. Even though most of these young masters had a bad reputation and committed all kinds of crimes, if they wanted to deal with them, there was still no pressure. "Hurry up and leave." Yu Xiyue curled the corners of his lips into a mischievous smile. He raised his chin and said, "Wasn't the lesson from last time enough? Do you think you can deal with me just because you have more people?" A small hooligan walked out of the small group and came to the table of a customer. He kicked the table hard, and as it shook, the food fell to the ground. Fortunately, the customer did not cause trouble with the steamed bun. The store manager went forward to apologize and waived the bill. Only then did this matter end. When the other customers saw this, they all requested to pay the bill and did not want to stay any longer. It was clear that with this disturbance, these customers would not come to visit again in the future. It's just a tea restaurant. So what if it's closed? Yu Xiyue can open 10 or 100 more restaurants. Are you guys going to continue being boring hooligans and destroy one by one? Liang Yunqing suddenly opened her mouth to speak, attracting everyone's attention. Although her temperament had changed, it was only compared to the past. In front of these rich children who were used to seeing upper-class aristocrats, she still looked like a soft and cuddly little white rabbit that was easy to bully. Little did they know that this little white rabbit would actually say such a thing. The group of people became even more interested in her. Liang Yunqing did not feel any fear towards these little brats at all. It was just that there were too many of them. Standing in the small shop, it really made people feel a sense of oppression. Yu Xiyue had already clenched his fists. He decided that if any of them went up to touch Liang Yunqing, he would let him eat his fists. However, before the first few people got close to them, someone spoke softly and the group of people split up. In the corner that was blocked by them, there was a young man sitting. He looked older than Yu Xiyue and the people around him, and his temperament was completely different. Although he was thin, he had a serious ruthlessness. A pair of peach blossom eyes slightly glanced at Liang Yunqing and Yu Xiyue. Ling Yimo. It's you again. Yu Xiyue clearly had some enmity with this person. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by another voice. Yo yo yo. What are you doing? What are you filming? There are so many people and it's noisy. Are you still going to do business? The sound. Angus. Angus. Mr. An Zimming walked straight into the restaurant. He was wearing Armani leather jacket, aquascutum pants, and a pair of handmade leather shoes. He looked like a peacock. Ling Yimo also got up, with a smile on his face, and An Zimming said hello. Nge, long time no see. It's been a long time, you come together to bully you little ah. An Zimming skillfully, half-jokingly said. Of course not, we're here to play with young Master Yu. Ling Mo was obviously a little afraid of An Zimming. They were just Yin Qianqian's lackeys, yet these people were already bowing and bowing. It seemed like they weren't very impressive. Then you guys play with your own stuff. Don't bring my miss along. Ling Mo paused, but his expression changed quickly. He continued to smile apologetically, isn't this? We didn't know that she was your person, brotherin. I'm not that lucky. An Zimming suddenly put away his cynical expression and moved closer to Ling Mo. He stretched out his hand and patted his face. This is someone above me that no one can touch. Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 77. She was really under a lot of pressure. Author. Bitter days. Machine translation. Someone that no one could touch. Ling Mo rolled his eyes, gritted his teeth, and tried his best to put on a smile. So that's how it is. A noble that can't be touched. I, Ling Mo, am blind. It seems that, young Master Yu isn't too high up. In the end, he didn't forget to step on Yu Xiyue. It could be seen that there was a deep grudge between the two of them. And Zimming didn't care about the grudge between him and Yu Xiyue. His mission today was to bring Liang Yunqing back in one piece. Liang Yunqing was also a little surprised to hear An Zimming's words. She still remembered that this person looked down on her the most and even mocked her for Yin Qianqian not acknowledging her identity. Now that she was openly saying that she was protected by the higher-ups, it could only be because of Yin Qianqian's instructions. Ling Mo did not expect to find trouble with Yu Xiyue and meet such a Buddha. Hence, he brought a large group of people and left dejectedly. An Zimming still did not care whether they continued to fight or whether this matter would end today. After all, his mission was only to bring Liang Yunqing back. In that case, I'll leave with Miss Yunqing first. Yu Xiyue wanted to say something, but he hesitated. Liang Yunqing smiled at him and made a phone gesture. You stay here and take care of things. I'm already back in the country anyway. Call me when you have time. Sitting in An Zimming's car, Liang Yunqing felt a little awkward. After all, the two of them didn't like each other in the past. And Zimming yawned. Masaji, who I was comfortable with, was suddenly summoned by my boss. You're really amazing. You're still haunting me. You're quite capable even though you haven't been dumped. I've really underestimated you. Liang Yunqing pursed her lips. She wasn't provoked by this person's words. He was just enjoying himself. Look, Yin Qianqian had asked him to pick her up as a chauffeur, so he had no choice but to come obediently. And Zimming wasn't someone who could stop talking, even if Liang Yunqing didn't answer he could continue. However, apart from me, there's really no one else who can handle this matter today. Boss wants to make your identity clear and show off in front of those cowards. However, if he wants to come personally, he'll directly lower his standards. There's no need for him to personally come down to deal with those bastards. Liang Yunqing believed his words. She thought about how those people would be scared out of their wits when they saw An Zimming bowing and bowing. If it really was Yin Qianqian who came personally, who knew how scared they would be. The car stopped in front of the Yin residence. And Zimming did not follow. He watched as Liang Yunqing walked through the door. This could be considered as handing in an assignment. With a turn of the steering wheel, she drifted away. Liang Yunqing had yet to enter the house when she saw that Hao Cheng was already waiting for her in front of the door. She could no longer hold back her boredom as she squatted by her feet and rushed excitedly towards Liang Yunqing. In less than a year, the growth rate of animals was extremely astonishing. A small dog had already grown into a big dog. Boredom probably had some golden fur lineage. It already had the posture of a large dog. When it pounced on Liang Yunqing's body, she was somewhat unable to withstand it, but the feeling of not being forgotten was really good. After much difficulty in pacifying boredom, Liang Yunqing led it into the door. Just as she entered the door, Liang Yunqing saw the serious man sitting on the sofa. He had the air of a king. What kind of aura was this that could make the leather sofa feel like a dragon chair? You're back. Yin Qianqian's deep voice was transmitted to Liang Yunqing's ears through the vibration of the air, giving her a lot of pressure. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 78. I was just teaching her a lesson, author. Bitter days. Machine translation. Yin Qianqian's words had a double meaning. He was talking about how she had gone out to mess around today, and he was also talking about how she had returned from country D. I'm back. I'm going to take a shower first. Liang Yunqing lowered her head, trying to find an excuse to open her mouth. Wait. Yin Qianqian raised his voice, full of strength. Liang Yunqing was stunned on the spot and did not dare to move again. Every time I ask you to study, you appear in front of me again. It's an eye-opener for me. I'm shocked. Yin Qianqian's words were obviously mocking her. Liang Yunqing had no choice. She felt that she was still afraid. She had originally gone abroad to study and had lived abroad alone for so long. She felt that she had developed absolute courage, but for some reason, she still felt a little timid in front of this man. Yin Qianqian stood up from the sofa and walked to Liang Yunqing. Liang Yunqing recognized him. This was his number one face when he was not very happy. Why are you lowering your head? Do you not want to see me so much? You haven't even gone home to see me, and you're already going out on a date with Yu Siyue. Liang Yunqing pursed her lips and raised her head. She looked at Yin Qianqian with her big black eyes. In fact, she really did not want to see Yin Qianqian. When she heard Yin Qianqian's voice and saw Yin Qianqian's face, she would think of what he had said to Sai Na just now. His expression was very serious. After saying so much, he seemed to care about her very much. However, this was probably the same as him teaching a disobedient little pet a lesson. Oh, no, she was not even considered a little wild cat. The good mood that he had built up after meeting Yu Siyue suddenly became depressed again. Aren't you busy with SAINA? I have things to do with other people too. Liang Yunqing could not help but retort. You are right. You are impatient after saying a few words. You have grown wings after leaving the country once. Do you want to fly out? Knowing that it was impossible, Yin Qianqian still said it. Of course not. Liang Yunqing's mood was depressed. She did not continue to say anything, so she remained silent. Go take a shower. Yin Qianqian finally spoke and let her go. Liang Yunqing immediately turned around and ran upstairs as if she was a prisoner who had been released. Seeing that Liang Yunqing immediately relaxed and left him in joy, Yin Qianqian stood where he was. He looked deeply at the back of Liang Yunqing, and no one knew what he was thinking. Miss Yunqing, you are really amazing. Hao Qing followed Liang Yunqing. Seeing that Yin Qianqian was no longer paying attention to them, he could not help but say. What? Amazing. Liang Yunqing frowned slightly and reached out to touch Hao Qing's forehead. You don't have a fever, do you? What nonsense are you talking about? There are very few people who can make Sir have such vivid emotions, although there's nothing on the surface. I've been by his side for so many years, I can still sense it. You don't know, how long has it been since I've seen him have such an angry and unhappy aura. Looking at Hao Qing's exaggerated expression and words, Liang Yunqing could not help but feel. Hao Qing was really sick. Yin Qianqian was angry, but he was still happy. After chatting and joking with Hao Qing for a while, Liang Yunqing returned to her room and took out a small habit that she had always adhered to since she arrived in Country D, diary. When electronic products filled almost all the time in people's lives, using paper and pen to write down one's feelings had a different feeling. On the title page of the diary was a simple calendar, and on the small day that was only a week away, it was quietly circled by a red pen. Liang Yunqing's finger gently traced the date. It was an extremely ordinary day. Also, an important day. Chapter 79. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 79. Let's walk the dog together sweetly. Author. Bitter days. Machine translation. The date in the red circle was lightly tapped by Liang Yunqing's white fingertips. Her pale pink lips could not help but curl up. It was very important. She accidentally saw it when she was cleaning up the warehouse with Hao Qing. This day was Yin Qianqian's birthday. Although people like Yin Qianqian wanted to suck up to him, give him gifts, and many people celebrated his birthday, she wanted to give him a completely different birthday. It was simple, but it was unforgettable. Wanting to help an important person celebrate their birthday, this kind of mood made people nervous and excited. Liang Yunqing thought about whether she should first ask Hao Qing to understand how Yin Qianqian had celebrated his birthday before this. However, after thinking about it, Hao Qing was still a person by Yin Qianqian's side. If he accidentally revealed her affairs to him, this surprise would be wasted. Therefore, Liang Yunqing decided to act on her own first. When it was close to Yin Qianqian's birthday, she would ask Hao Qing to be her assistant. Liang Yunqing had a small amount of savings. Although it might not be enough to buy a cup of coffee for Yin Qianqian, it was what she had earned with her own efforts. This was the first time she had sold her work, so the price was of course very low. However, since it was euros, it was enough to exchange for a set of simple gifts. Liang Yunqing opened the diary and wrote down the date and the weather on the latest page. Mood. Liang Yunqing hesitated for a moment and first drew a happy smiling face, because she was really happy to be home, but there seemed to be some unhappy things, so she still drew an emoticon behind the smiling face. It really couldn't be considered a happy day. Liang Yunqing wrote down a few words about her mood today and felt a little sleepy. She closed her diary. It was unknown whether it was because she didn't sleep well because of jet lag, or because she had returned to her own bed. Smelling the familiar smell, Liang Yunqing quickly fell asleep peacefully. The next day, it was probably a good night's sleep. Liang Yunqing got up very early. After washing up, she changed into her home clothes. When she rubbed her eyes and went downstairs, the first person to greet her was actually not a person. Yes, it was a dog. Out of boredom, she ran to her feet with a rope in her mouth and spun around happily. She never forgot that there was once a girl who hugged him and slept in a stone house for an entire night. Out of boredom, there was already a collar around her neck. She did not know who was going to walk the dog. The person standing in front of Liang Yunqing also scared her. It was a light blue sportswear. Because she was going to exercise, her hair was unkempt and not neatly combed. For a moment, Liang Yunqing felt like she was looking at a university senior. It was the kind of person who smiled at you and the whole world would melt, but when that man's gaze was directed at her, she realized that she was wrong. She was still so cold. When Hao Qing walked over, he saw Liang Yunqing in disbelief. Her jaw was about to fall off. She narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, "Every morning when you run, you always look bored." Yin Qianqian. Walk. Dog. It was simply a fantasy. But looking at his practiced look, he seemed to have gotten used to this routine. It would be like this tomorrow. You should come with us today. Yin Qianqian turned around and walked out of the door. Liang Yunqing lowered her head and looked at the bored man who wanted to shake his head and tail beside her and was eager to chase after Yin Qianqian. She tilted her head and said, "All right, let's go together." Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 80. Not very physically strong author. Bitter days. Machine translation. There was actually a day when they walked together harmoniously with Yin Qianqian. Walking the dog. Liang Yunqing really found it unbelievable. The key was, she did not expect Yin Qianqian to have such a close relationship with boredom. If she remembered correctly, when he brought boredom home, he really despised it. But this name was a very good proof. When she asked him to name the dog, he said that he was bored. Yin Qianqian ran forward slowly. He was very clear about his running route even though he was bored. He followed behind him at a moderate speed. Occasionally, when he was having fun, he would run to the front and stick out his tongue. He would wait for Yin Qianqian to run over before continuing. Liang Yunqing did not have any objections to their way of doing morning exercises, but the key point was that she was also running behind them today. At first, Liang Yunqing was still leading the bored dog. Later, she was disliked by the bored dog for being too slow. She directly broke free from the leash and started running around Yin Qianqian. "Why are you running so far? When are you going to get home?" Boredom was an energetic young puppy, not to mention Yin Qianqian. Although Liang Yunqing usually exercised, she did not eat or drink early in the morning and just went for a 10-kilometer jog. She still wanted to say thank you and goodbye. Liang Yunqing could not take it anymore. She squatted by the side of the road and did not want to move anymore. Noticing that her little tail was missing, Yin Qianqian also stopped walking. He turned around and found that Liang Yunqing had stopped moving. "How can you be so weak? No matter how strong you are, I can't compete with you." Liang Yunqing looked wronged. Thinking about how they had just run so far, even if they turned back now, she probably would not be able to walk back in one piece. Yin Qianqian did not blame Liang Yunqing. He knew Liang Yunqing's personality. She was not the kind of person who deliberately pretended to be coquettish. If she said that she could not walk anymore, she was really tired. He did not know whether it was because the sun was too bright or because the atmosphere was too good, but he had forgotten the time. From the looks of it, they had indeed run quite far. Yin Qianqian reached out and patted Liang Yunqing's head. "I'll carry you back." This was the face of someone who was in a good mood. Liang Yunqing had successfully read the atmosphere. Since he had taken the initiative to bring it up, she would not stand on ceremony with a little evil intention. Liang Yunqing moved her legs that were almost numb. She jumped up and jumped onto Yin Qianqian's back. Liang Yunxing was not heavy, and Yin Qianqian's body did not shake at all when he was ambushed. Why don't you take a breather while carrying me? Liang Yunxing hugged his neck, and her face was slightly hot where he could not see. When I was in school, I was much heavier than you when I ran with weights. You had to run with weights when you were in school. Liang Yunxing blinked strangely. It was rare for her to hear Yin Qianqian mention her past, so she quickly asked. Military school. Yin Qianqian had actually been to military school. She thought that he would have a strange identity like a mafia boss. She didn't expect that he had studied in such a place. Just 2 words made Liang Yunxing more curious about him. Yin Qianqian was such a person. He looked cold, but as long as you started to understand him, you couldn't stop. He was like a novel with many foreshadowing words. Once you opened it, you could never get out. Oh, right, the atmosphere was just right. The golden halo of the morning sun scattered on people's bodies. It was warm and comfortable, and there was a gentle wind. Liang Yunxing leaned against Yin Qianqian's ear and asked in a low voice, do you have anything that you like?